Hello there, everybody. How you doing? Welcome to this energy update, which is preparation for the global meditation that's going to be taking on the 4th, 5th of April, and also the full moon in Libra on the 8th of April. So I'm Rosanna Kalliabetsos, and what I do is I support people to live as their higher selves and to move out of their paradigm into living and co-creating their reality. And I do this as a multidimensional success coach. So if this is something that resonates with you, please hit the like and subscribe button, and you will get lots of information from me that is going to help you, just like all of my clients, be able to stay aligned with the highest vibrations of our time. Welcome those of you who've joined. So what is it we're going to be covering today? Well, I wanted to go through the key emotions that are going on for people at the moment in preparation for this global event, and also how we can harness the energy that is the winds of change that Libra is actually bringing to us. So bear with me, it's only going to be a few minutes, and I'm going to be sharing with you some wonderful tools that you can use to prepare for the 4th and also the 8th, and get the most of what's going on at the most amazing time in our lives that we're in right now, because we have the potential to shift timelines, and that's why this is so exciting. So I've made some notes just to be able to keep me on track. Let's jump in with the emotions that I wanted to deal with. So obviously we're all in the midst of a global lockdown, okay? Everybody is being affected by this in the sense that we are having to separate ourselves from the world around us. And at the moment we all have technology that we're able to connect with each other with. But if we didn't have technology, we would have to go even further within us. Hello, Hadia, nice to see you. So what's been coming up a lot in the last few days between the new moon that we had and now the full moon has been a lot of mistrust. One of the things that I've been hearing more than anything is I just don't know what to believe anymore. And essentially there is a 3-world split going on at the moment. So you may be interested in the work of Magenta Pixie, you may be interested in the work of other teachers at the moment sharing what's going on. But from her perspective, as we are preparing now for the 3 days of darkness, which comes at Easter time, we are in a position where we're having to pull up and out everything that is not in resonance with our truth. How do we discover that? We feel triggered, okay? And when we feel triggered by someone else's truth and we want to react, that is going to then bring us into a place where we need to check in with where we're actually coming from. Are we coming from our programmed fearful self, or are we coming from a part of us that is what I call our higher self, that recognizes being a co-creator of our reality? Now, for us to truly be able to access our co-creating powers, we have to see where our blind spots are. And I'm going to go through this 3-world split so you can understand a little bit more about it. But even if you're looking at the mainstream media at the moment, and then you're looking at alternative narratives, it's confusing. There seems to be a bleed through where we're seeing alternate narratives coming through the mainstream media, and there are lots of narratives around very positive things actually happening at this time, but also there are narratives around things that aren't very positive at all. And if you are in your consciousness in the 3rd dimensional paradigm in your consciousness, then what's going to be affecting you at the moment is the fear of the virus, and also the fear of the economic effects of the virus. So there's going to be a lot around money, a lot around work, a lot around survival, okay? Now, what I would say with this is the Pluto-Jupiter conjunction, which I'll go into in a little bit, which is what the 4th and 5th of April is all about, is this opportunity to knock down everything that is not aligned with the highest good of all, which means service to others rather than service to self. And what we're going to be seeing is a new relationship with our concept of abundance. But before I go there, let's go a little bit further into what I was going to say, which is then about the 4th dimension, which is really where people are already awakened to a degree. So they're not necessarily so frightened of the virus or even the economic consequences, but they're much more frightened of the timelines that are, how would I put this? Basically the alternate narrative. So the idea that we are moving into a one world state, that we're going to all be forced to be vaccinated and microchipped, and we will have no autonomy anymore on the basis that in order to keep the world safe, everybody must be controlled. And I've seen so many of my clients dip into fear, because as they're actually growing in themselves, they're having to see where they've really learnt their lessons and where they're feeling sovereign and able to maintain a vibration, and where outside triggers are actually causing them to drop back down into the fears that destabilize them. So we all need to be paying attention to what destabilizes us, because that will tell us the work that we need to do to be able to access our 5D consciousness. And the fifth dimensional consciousness does not allow fear. You cannot have fear in 5D. 5D is where you are really downloading your higher self-consciousness, and you are living from that place of absolute trust that what is happening is to align with the highest good of all and the win-win-win and everything, because you are aligning with that force yourself. So as you perceive this reality, you will see it around you. And this is the big call of this global meditation. It is literally moving from like 5G fears, which, you know, whether we're worried about the virus or we're worried about the impending technology that is coming or supposed to be coming, and we're wanting to move into our 5D consciousness, then what needs to happen is we need to turn those fears into some other narrative, into some other story. So it's very helpful to actually write down, what are the things that are triggering you at the moment? What are the things that are making you scared? What are the things that make you feel you have no power at this point? So you can see where you're still buying into a narrative of fear, of lower vibration. Because if we buy into those truths, I say truth, but actually they're just narratives, right? If we buy into that, then what we're doing is we're lowering our vibration, and we're buying back into a story that we don't want to energize. So the question is, what are you focused on? Because what you are focused on, you are energizing. I'll give you another example. Speaking to some of my clients at the moment, one of the things that I've noticed is the people that are actually enjoying the lockdown, that are finding they're getting more time to themselves to get things done that they want to do, are feeling guilty about it, because there are obviously lots of people who are affected by the virus, who are struggling on the front line, supporting those people affected by the virus. And they're obviously in a state of isolation as well. Hello, Augustine. And they're in a state where they are feeling not the benefits of what's actually going on. It's actually not so nice for them. So the people that are enjoying their time and actually getting a little bit of respite are feeling guilty about it. And it's the guilt that we need to turn around, because if I can remind you of the fact that we are all energy, okay? Every one of us is an energy cell. We're like a battery. We can tune into the source of all that is. We can tune in, and then we can energize this planet through our earth chakra and the crystalline grid and the human heart grid. We bring down a vibration that gets processed through our body. So if we are feeling guilty, what we're doing is we're taking this source energy, we're bringing it through our bodies, and then we're sending guilt around the crystalline grid. Okay, if we're feeling fearful, we are bringing down the cosmic energy, the source energy. It's moving through our bodies, and it is amplifying fear in the collective. That's why our job, our discipline, is to be very mindful of where our vibration is, and to use the tools that we have to transmute lower frequency energies into higher frequency energies. So for example, use the guilt. What would be the opposite of guilt, right? What would it feel like to not feel guilty, but actually to feel grateful, for example? Like, there are so many things that we can feel grateful for in this time. And if we can shift our focus from something that we judge, either in ourselves or others, as an opportunity to then be in a position where we can energize gratitude, we can energize hope, we can energize prosperity, we can energize positive outcomes, then through our bodies, instead of sending a current down that we're not conscious of and putting it into the collective, we transmute it through our bodies. And that is the beauty of what is available to us. So again, when we talk about a 3-world split, and we talk about 3D, 4D, 5D, in a way, what we're actually doing as well is we're talking about the Armageddon timeline and the Paradise timeline, the bridge between the two actually being the 4th dimension, which, if you think of the 4th dimension as the astral plane, so the non-physical plane, where everything exists at the same time, both the worst case scenarios and the best case scenarios, what we focus on energizes that. So the very top of 4D is what some of us would conceive of as nirvana or heaven. The very bottom part of 4D consciousness would be Armageddon, would be hell, would be different aspects of suffering and what would the word be now? Purgatory, right? So we are responsible. Each one of us is responsible for how we're actually showing up. And if you can recognize that within one dimension, the dimension that's difficult to put into words, the dimension that is the dream state or the hallucination state or the subconscious state. This is where our work and our magic is. And if we call in our angels, we call in our guides, we call in our teachers, we get to move through the mistrust, through the confusion. And instead of asking the question, what is true? We can ask the question, what do I want to be true? And that is what helps us to shift out of feeling helpless, out of feeling like a soldier of fortune, to being able to be a conscious co-creator of your reality, and therefore to be able to step into your power and to energize the positive. Now, I'm going to just go through a little bit more about this, make sure that I've got it all going on. So the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction, which is happening on the 4th of April, there are going to be a couple more times when we have a conjunction this year with these two planets. And the Jupiter one is basically the planet of heaven, the top of 4D, of expansion, of abundance. And Pluto is like the planet of destruction, of death and rebirth. So it's like the tower in the tarot deck, which will just clear away everything that shouldn't be there to allow for new structures to take root. So you could think of the fires recently in Australia would be an example of everything seeming like it's being destroyed. But what happened through that process was the ability then for new shoots and new life to come about stronger than it was before. So we are going to be seeing this particularly in relationship to abundance, into prosperity, into the monetary system, into the world that at the moment has existed, that we have had a structure around us that supposedly kept us safe. What we're learning is there is nothing outside of us that can help us feel safe. It is an inside job to choose to feel safe, to choose to feel abundant, to choose to feel prosperous. And then you align with the opportunities that will mirror that. Because I firmly believe, as a co-creator of my reality, that we are all living our own virtual reality, our own subjective truth. Now, there is absolute truth. That absolute truth is love. And when you align with love, that is the source of all that is, the purest vibrations of love and light that we can all pull through us and therefore shift our consciousness and lift our consciousness. But you are never going to do that from your head. You have to drop into your heart. You have to descend to ascend. So if we think about the preparation for this particular meditation, the 4th, and how this is a precursor to the full moon meditation, what we're being given is an opportunity to gather with our collective and to actually hold a vibration together. So what's going to be happening on the 4th is there's been a world call out for all leaders, all teachers, all visionaries, all influencers to lead their tribe into holding a vision for 20 minutes of a new earth paradigm that we all want to co-create. Now, in my country, in the UK, this will be at 3:30 a.m. Okay, so I'm going to be getting up and I'm going to be leading people through it, just like my wonderful teacher, Suzanna Kennedy, who's in Kauai, is going to be leading people through it as well in her time zone, which will be at 3:30 a.m. in the UK, but it will be whatever time it is for her in Kauai. Now, one of the things for us to look at is how we're accessing up to the 11th dimension now. So in a way, the first world is going to be the 3rd, 4th, 5th dimensions. The second world is the 6th, 7th, 8th dimensions. And the third world is the 8th, 9th, 10th, no, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th dimensions, right? So depending on where you are in yourself, what's important for us to remember is in our physical forms, we can only exist in 5D consciousness on this earth. To have a physical form, the highest frequency that you can actually align with on this planet is 5D. So we have to move through the illusion and delusion of 4D. We have to rise out of the fears of 3D, out and through the illusion and delusion of the valley of the shadow of doubt that is 4D. And then keep remembering to allow our hearts to lead the way rather than the head, because the brain and the mind will lead you back into 3D again and again and again, because we are programmed in our physiology to be in survival mode rather than thriving mode. And the point of this meditation is actually to shift that for everybody, so that we move as a collective out of the vibrational frequency baseline of survival into the vibrational frequency of thriving and what that would actually look like. So my meditation is actually going to be called Co-Creating a Safe and thriving new earth paradigm, which is really the bridge for those of you who are 4D, really needing to move through the fears of 4D, 3D, 4D into 5D. And Suzanna's is called Connecting to the Paradise Ascension Timelines. It's the same thing. We're going to be doing exactly the same thing, just in slightly different language at the same time. So I'm going to put the links below, both to my meditation and to Suzanna's. I would recommend that you sign up to both, and you can listen to one of them as a replay and just see which one you're guided to listen to at that specific time, because you will need the codes for both. And we are, in my world, I have a Pleiadian connection, whereas I really believe Susanna's coming from a Syrian connection. It's coming through the Pleiades, through me, and then it's channeling out. So that's the 4th and the 5th. And then we're going to be moving into the preparation for the full moon in Libra. Now, the winds of change are blowing, right? So what is that doing? It's destabilizing us. It's all the time. Energy is changing all the time. We're getting different information. I know I was feeling bombarded a few days ago, like literally just needing everything to stop, because you put one thing out there and people are just sending you everything relating to that. They want you to know something else, something else, something else. And it's like, I had to keep asking myself, what do I want to align with? What is important for me to see through all of this conflicting information? What is the truth I want to move to? Welcome. Lots of people joining. That's lovely. Any questions, anyone, please let me know. Okay. And thanks, Augustine. I'm glad Augustine's on, because I actually want to talk about Augustine as well. But basically, anything that's going on, be very careful what you are sharing with the world. What do you want to energize? If you're going to share something on your social media or share something with the people around you, consider why you are sharing it. Do you need to be right? Do you want to incite fear to get action going? Or do you want to remind people that we have a choice, but we have to exercise our right to choose, and we have to stand up and be counted? Because it is said, for evil to prevail, all it takes is for good people to do nothing. And at the moment, we are needing to step up into our power and to remember that we are not allowed to sit on the fence. You're either going to spiral into doom and gloom, or you're going to look at everything that happens in your life as an opportunity for you to step up into the fullness of your being and live as your higher self, as a divine human in training here on this planet. And that's the invitation. And the way we do it is through divine grace, which is to allow ourselves to recognize blessings are always coming to us. And so when something feels as though it's falling away in our lives, that is because it needs to make way for those blessings. So letting things go is a natural and necessary process to allow for new things to come in. If you're trying to hold on to your old life while you build a new one, you're going to end up in trouble and going to feel really, really congested. Okay, so allow the old to go, whatever that means. If your income is currently being challenged, if your job is being challenged, keep putting your higher self in charge and ask your higher self to lead you to what you're supposed to be doing next. Our purpose is all about following our passion. Okay, so when we come to the meditation on the full moon on the 8th, I'm going to be hosting a meditation on the 7th in preparation for the full moon, which will be at 8 p.m. BST, British Standard Time, just like the world meditation will be at 3:30 a.m. British Standard Time. But this one on Tuesday is going to be where we anchor a new narrative to this planet. So everything that we have been thinking, this is awful, I don't want this is a violation of my rights, this is something that I don't want to energize, we are going to turn all those negatives into positives. And I've been working on that in a post on my social media. So I invite you to check out RozyGlow Facebook page and be my friend on Rosanna Kalliabetsos and add to that positive narrative so we can anchor it together as a collective on the 7th. All right. The other thing I want to say is Augustine, who has been working with me for a long time, is a very, very awesome reader, multidimensional reader. So if at this point you are wondering how to shift your timeline from 3D to 4D or 4D to 5D, you want a reading with him, I'm going to put his details in the text box below, because he's really, really good at being able to help you see how you can shift from one timeline to the other, how you can shift from one paradigm to the other. And he also makes wicked, awesome crystal jewelry that will help you to anchor that new frequency as well in you. So if you want to take advantage of that, please do. And also I want to big up Leslie Sloane, because these cards here are the Oracle Healing Cards, which I work with. And these are the cards that came to me to explain what we're actually going through at the moment. So this here is the primary red one, which is the phoenix rising out of the ashes. So if you see this as an alternate to the tower in the tarot deck, This is allowing everything in our lives that needs to die so that we can then allow rebirth. We can allow what is meant to be in our lives to rise. And this is through us connecting to our higher selves. You can't do it through connecting to your program self. You've got to step up. Now, the block we have, nice idea, good. The block we have is which voice are we going to feed? So I don't know if you can actually see here. Let's take that away. Can you see the angel and the dark angel and then the divine child? All right. So these have lovely mandalas on the other side that help to access your soul consciousness. And you can get these cards from my website. I'll put the link in a minute. Leslie Sloane is phenomenal. So if you saw at the start, my thumbnail was the angel. And it's like, are we going to feed the voices of fear? Or are we going to voice the even see the angel, like the angel, which is very interesting. The darkness is compelling because we keep energizing it. We are addicted to drama. So can we stop being addicted to drama and start being addicted to good news? Literally shift your focus. That's how we will move out of the timeline stories we don't want to energize and move into the timeline stories that really will inspire us to live on this planet. Now, how do we do it? The here and now. This is the bridge, okay? This beautiful woman, I see her as the bridge from the 4D to 5D and the bridge from 3D to 4D. So by recognizing the things you're fearful of, you can then create a new narrative around it so that instead of that fear being what motivates you, you start energizing the story you want to energize. And this really can happen through our dream state, is to just access those deep, moody emotions within us that are expecting doom and gloom. Have a conversation with them and say, you know, why do you feel the way you do? Where has this come from? And is it possible that things could be different? And if things could be different, how could they be different? And you allow yourself to change the narrative from within. Very, very powerful tool, which will lead us to accessing our divine child truth. And this is what we're going to be energizing both in the global meditation and the full moon co-creation meditation. So if you see this one here, this being is taking all of the consciousness from source. It's literally flowing out of this being's body, and they're doing works of art. Okay, so they're painting, they're pulling the energy through, and they're painting, and they're co-creating a new reality. So this is my invitation to you, those of you who are inspired by the work I do. Join me, okay? Join me. Join my amazing teachers. I've mentioned Suzanna Kennedy. I've mentioned Leslie Sloane. I mentioned the lovely Augustine. These are wonderful people that are doing amazing things. And the more of us that pull together and actually just rise together, allow ourselves to own our fears, but not be controlled by our fears, watch how the planet actually changes. So I'm going to leave that there. Remember the times and the dates. For the time, the global meditation is going to be 3:30 a.m. BST, and I'll put the links below for mine and for Susanna's. For the full moon co-creation meditation, tune in with me Tuesday, the 7th of April, and that will be at 8 p.m. BST, okay? And for everything else, all I would say is together we are stronger, feed the love, keep shifting your mindset to see through eyes of love and to wonder, what would life look like if I could create life the way I want it? What would life look like? And allow everything that's triggering you to be an opportunity for you to come out of feeling powerless into feeling empowered. One thing that can really help you with that is to say, what's true for other people isn't true for me. If you're hearing something that's negative around you, it isn't true for me. And in the global meditation, we are going to be working with shifting the energy around coronavirus and 5G. Okay, so there's going to be a whole load of things to free us from the enslavement of the struggle paradigm. So I really hope you'll be joining us. I send you loads of love. If you're enjoying this, please hit the subscribe, like and share it with your friends, your tribe, and let's gather together on Saturday. Lots and lots of love. Namaste. Take care now. Bye.